Located in Sweden, in what is now known today as the city of Gothenburg, the Centurion civilization once stood. This civilization lasted from 760 AD to 950 AD. The average temperature in the winter is -3 degrees, and in the summer the average temperature is 18 degrees. But northern Sweden is much colder. To the east of Sweden is Finland, and to the west is Norway, also known as their sister country. The east and south coast of Sweden is the Baltic Sea, which is linked by the North Sea. The Gulf of Bothnia between Sweden and Finland is the northernmost extension of the Baltic Sea. These bodies of water are all considered extensions of the Atlantic Ocean. Sweden has very mountainous terrain, which makes it very hard to grow crops and food. The Centurion civilization didn't really have a centralized government. Usually one leader made all the decisions, and if the people were dissatisfied, they would overthrow the current leader and replace them with a new one. If a crime was committed, the leader would decide the punishment. For example, if someone was to murder another person, the punishment would be death, but it wouldn't be a painless death. The criminal would suffer a death so painful that he would die just from the pain alone. The people believed in the Norse religion. They believed in Thor and Odin, and that if they died honorable and brave, they would go to Valhalla, which is basically like heaven. The civilization didn't really have a class structure. Everybody was treated equally, but if you were labeled as a criminal, you would be treated worse than a slave. Since the terrain was mountainous, growing food was very difficult. In order to get more food, they raided their neighboring countries for food in order to survive. Many books and scriptures that were found were based on the Romans and Greeks' writing and science. Many Christian necklaces and Bibles were found in the houses of the civilization. Many other civilizations at the time would never allow their slaves or prisoners to keep their own religion or beliefs. Many of the slaves and prisoners were forced to believe in the religion of the civilization. The Centurions are very unique in the sense that the people did not care what their slaves believed in. This is one of the only civilizations at the time known to have treated their slaves and prisoners with a little bit of respect for their own religion and beliefs. Slaves were usually treated very well in this civilization. Some slaves have also been set free by the owners and became free men. Because of this, the Centurions slowly turned their religion from Norse to Christianity. An old journal about the raids and a war axe were found in the civilization. Since the land in Sweden is not very good for growing food, the Centurions needed to go raid their neighboring countries to get more food for their people. Instead of figuring out another way to grow food, they decided to use their brute force and take it from others. They did what was necessary for their survival. They were able to turn a harsh environment into a habitable one. And eventually the Centurions were able to control the surrounding countries and have them send resources to them. This eventually also led to their downfall. The neighboring countries eventually allied together and wiped out the Centurions. The Centurions deserve to be on the UNESCO World Heritage List because they were able to use the other surrounding countries around them to survive. Not only were they able to use them to survive, but they eventually started to control them. The surrounding countries eventually got tired of being attacked and just started to give the Centurions some of their resources so they would no longer raid them anymore. Another reason why my civilization deserves to be on the UNESCO World Heritage List is because this is one of the only countries at the time that would treat their slaves with respect. Slaves were allowed to believe in their own religion, and at one point, the civilization even had a Christian church in the city. Some of the owners even converted to Christianity.